by using an Android phone in parallel with my iPhone 5 means that I get away from the iOS ecosystem more and more. I haven't looked at a new app for my iPhone 5. I haven't tried to install something to try any new app or anything. I have been busy with my Android phone and to find apps for that. So you can say that for the last month I haven't get into the ecosystem of iOS. I'm not saying that's good or bad because I have so much apps bought from the App Store, the ecosystem for iOS, and I miss a lot of them, as I have said before. But in a way, by using an Android phone in parallel with iPhone 5 makes me go away from that ecosystem. It's like I feel more free now. I have now two ecosystems, so I can choose which ecosystem that I want to use. I want to build up and try to find stuff in. And that I think is great. Yes, I think that's great. And I've also noticed that you don't need an ecosystem, a good ecosystem, as much on Android as you do on iOS. It's hard to explain, but you use the default operating system, the default software more on Android than you do on iOS. And the apps you install on Android is tightly integrated into the operating system and uses the operating system more than they do on iOS. So it feels that you don't need an ecosystem as much as you do on iOS. On iOS you need to find an app for everything more advanced you need to do. Then you need an app for that. On Android you don't have to find an app for everything because some of the things you have built into the operating system. For example, the share menu. To do that on iOS, that the share menu do on Android, to do that on iOS, you need apps to do that. You need an app to share to a service, a specific service and so on. You need apps to send to blog or Evernote and so on. You need a specific RSS reader that supports sending to Evernote, Pocket and so on. You need to find an RSS reader that supports all those services. But on Android, every app supports those services. So you don't need such features. It's a bit hard to explain, but I hope you understand me. So the ecosystem on Android is not as necessary as it is on iOS. You need to buy more apps on iOS. So another example, instead of OmniFocus, I now use Evernote and the calendar for my GTD. And I am as productive and creative as I was on iOS. And Evernote is not a default app, but it's a universal app. It works everywhere, on Windows, on Mac, and Android and iOS. So for me, that doesn't count in my ecosystem because it's universal and it's a free app. If you buy the premium version, you buy it for all your devices. So I could rather have bought the premium on my Mac and use it on my Android phone. So these apps, I don't see them as building up the ecosystem. And the calendar I use is you can use the default calendar on Android. It's enough. So that combination together build up my GTD system now. Instead of buying really expensive apps like OmniFocus on iOS. These apps doesn't exist on Android though. That's a drawback, but you don't have so expensive productive apps on Android. But that is also proof that what I'm talking about. You don't need as many apps. You don't need apps. You don't need an ecosystem as much as you do on iOS. On iOS you need to buy these expensive, really productive and professional apps to be productive and creative. Yes, I can use the Evernote and calendar system on my iOS too, but you often get tempted to try these expensive apps instead because they look like they could be even better for you. So using these apps, you think that you'd be better by doing that. Okay, bye.